طيب. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala. What is important to understand, akhi, is the madhab is not the deen. In other words, the madhab is not the Quran and the Sunnah. The madhab is an attempt to understand the Quran and the Sunnah. So, this is the best ways that we found that can try to understand what the maqsad of the book and the Sunnah. So, that's what I'm trying to say. It's the best attempts that the Ummah has known, or Ahl Sunnah have known so far, that we're able to encompass as much as possible meaning of the book and the Sunnah. Can I say that what Imam Abu Hanifa said, what Imam Shafi'i said, is the book and the Sunnah? No. I can say it's an attempt, his attempt to understand the book and the Sunnah. Now, is that the best that we have? Yeah. It's better than your attempt to understand the book and the Sunnah, in a sense, or my unqualified attempt to understand the book and the Sunnah. That's what I'm trying to say. So, yes. Do we think that those A'imma knew everything? No. They knew enough and they were qualified. Right? So, is it possible that in some stands they may have been wrong? Yeah. No one is infallible after the Anbiya. But they made the judgment based on actual knowledge and qualification. And therefore, even if wrong, they're excused, inshallah ta'ala. That's the point. Now, look, the issue of bid'ah and not what is not bid'ah, that requires us about 5 hours of talk. Briefly, institutionalizing a practice as a mandate or as a highly encouraged sunnah-based action that is not found in the book and sunnah as an act of bid'ah, even if it's good. Institutionalizing a practice that is not mandated in the book and the sunnah is a bid'ah if it's institutionalized on a meaning of you should do it or you must do it, not you can do it. Again, it's a bit of a longer topic. So, can we gather for, I don't like to use the word celebrate. From a technical point of view, I like to use the word express happiness for the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Can we gather people to express happiness for the birth of Sayyidina Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Number one, expressing happiness for his birth is integrated in you as a Muslim. If you're not happy for his birth, there's a problem with your iman. So that's one, right? So we don't disagree whether you're happy or not for his birth. That's just a given thing. We disagree on, is it permissible to gather people in a certain format, on a certain day, in a certain way, and express happiness for the birth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is what we disagree on as an ummah. We do not disagree whether we should be happy or not. If you're not happy, you're crazy. And that's the best case scenario. Because if you're crazy, see, that's Spanish. I'm not Spanish, trust me. Crazy, they say. Our Spanish brothers, Feliz. All right. If you're not feliz, then you got issues, my friend. Huh? If you're not happy and you're insane, then that's your good excuse, because otherwise you're not Muslim. All right. Now, can we then assemble people, gather people, to express happiness to the birth of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in a certain way, in a certain format, though it was not institutionalized in the book and the Sunnah? We can, as long as we don't institutionalize it. If we institutionalize it and make it a fard or a sunnah, then it's absolutely rejected. I don't care what it is. In other words, I have no problem with people. That's again my view. You can look. I'm not here to teach you my view. I'm here to. You're asking me, and I will tell you what I think. And even if you disagree with me, I still love you. I have no problem with that. I don't believe in dictatorship and knowledge. Yeah, and I don't believe in my way or the highway. If it's your way or the highway, if you're not the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then I don't really care about you. With all the respect, And Nabi Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that's the way. What I'm saying is this. I don't have a problem with people who don't want to gather to express happiness for the birth of the Prophet ﷺ, as long as they express happiness for his birth in whatever permissible way they want to do. The problem we're having is marginalizing the birth of the Prophet ﷺ. Marginalizing it as if it's not part of the deen, though in Sahih Muslim it's stated clearly and unambiguously, the hadith of Abu Qatada al-Ansari, why are you fasting? Why are you allocating a day of fasting? Especially, Ya Rasulullah, significantly for the day of Monday. He said it was a day I was born in. Yani al-Mustafa himself, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhi wa alayhi, did not leave the day of his birth go unbranded that it was his day of birth. That's the problem. Ya akhi, you don't want to gather, don't gather. Do siyam. Please fast every Monday out of thankfulness that Allah sent you His messenger. Sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I'm happy with you. You don't want to gather, please don't gather. Don't gather, man. You have my love and appreciation, and you're doing the true sunnah. The true sunnah of the Mawlid is that you fast the day of Monday. That's the only sunnah that's mandated. All we are arguing is there is no prohibition of doing permissible things in the day of his Mawlid. Among them assembling people. I don't have a hadith saying you should not assemble people on the day of my Mawlid to express happiness for my birth. You know what I'm saying? So it's negating the negation in a sense. All right. And Allah knows best.
So on the same token, some people will argue that using the word milad in Nabi. What is your comment on that?
What?
Same context.
My comment is Sahih Muslim, Shaykh. Please open Sahih Muslim. It says my Mawlid, my day of wiladat. So, and also the Quran says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Salamu alayya yawma wulidtu wa yawma amutu. Shaykh, give me a break, People who argue the word Mawlid or Wilida, هذا جاهل in the Quran itself. Because Al-Quran itself went to great extent to tell us about the day of the Wilada of Isa, alayhi salam. With details, how she stand and how next to the tree and all these things. And all these things about the Wilada of Isa. And you're telling me the Mawlid of the Anbiya is insignificant? Extreme. Again. I'm saying is, if you institutionalize a format and say this is fard or sunnah, that's extreme and rejected. And if you say the day of the Mawlid or the day that the Prophet ﷺ or any other Prophet is insignificant day, that's also contrary to the sunnah. Equally so, at least to say. Allah knows best. Look, Shaykh, what we have the authentic hadith or the Hasan hadith I told you about the Prophet ﷺ. Now we have a less grade hadith that said, Ya ibadallahi ihbisu. An-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam allegedly told us, and the hadith may be subject to bettering in classification. If someone is lost, says, Ya ibadallah, O slaves of Allah, maybe jinn or others, help. So that may be a foundation somewhere. In general, I like to remain textual. Textual means when there's a nas. Nas means what Allah said, what His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. In general, anytime you go beyond what the texts, the sacred texts have said, you are in uncharted territory. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything anymore. And remember that tasawwuf is a science of the heart, not science of the tongue, like ya akhi. Yani, tasawwuf is a state of the heart, not state of the tongue. I don't know why we want to put regimen to tasawwuf and just to wanna say that you love. How can you articulate love? It's a hal. It's a state of the heart. And if you try to articulate it in words, I can tell you 10 times how you can make pizza. But if you've never tasted this pizza, you're not going to know. I mean, you can memorize the ingredients of pizza backwards. But if you've never tasted good, real good pizza, you don't know what I'm talking about. I don't care if you know how to make pizza even. What I'm saying is, akhi, tasawwuf is not a knowledge of mathematics that we can write like in hadith and others. Tasawwuf is the science of the heart. And the heart science must be based on the book and the Sunnah, obviously. Cannot go beyond. But that heart has a language on its own. Don't try to force a frame of mathematics on a spiritual dimension. It doesn't work. And Allah knows best. No.